Okay, hi guys. Back to history here. Mr. Ringo here with World History. We are starting Unit 20 today. We're going to be on this for 3 e-learning days. Your one and only assignment for this is to work on your Unit 20 study guide. There's about 30 questions on there, so it's a little bigger assignment, I guess, but it is spread out over 3 days. I will put a link to it here following these videos. There will be a couple of videos. I'm going to try to keep them short. So then on next Tuesday and next Thursday, on the next 2 e-learning days, come back to this module for the study guide. You'll watch videos on those days, but you'll come back to this module for 4/2/2020 to work on your study guide, to continually work on the same study guide. So don't forget to do that. Now I'm going to keep things as brief as possible, so I know I won't lose your attention, hopefully. But so let's talk about the origins of World War One. And to do that, I think we need to start with this man right here, Otto von Bismarck, pictured here in this nice cartoon crayon coloring of Otto von Bismarck. Von Bismarck will be the man who will unify the German nations, city-states and territories and provinces into a strong, unified German country. Germany was finally created out of the efforts of Otto von Bismarck. For hundreds of years, ethnically German people have been part of this German territory, but it was never officially a country until Otto von Bismarck was able to bring it together. For his efforts, he became known as the Iron Chancellor, a man who brought and unified Germany together. The first official ruler of this new German country was Kaiser Wilhelm I. Kaiser meaning emperor in German. Wilhelm I will work closely with von Bismarck, who will remain the leader of the military, and they together will create what became known as the Second Reich or Second Empire, referring back to the Holy Roman Empire, which was a collection of German states during the Middle Ages and forward. That was the First Reich. The Holy Roman Empire was. The Second Reich will be here under von Bismarck and Kaiser Wilhelm, and this will lead eventually into what Adolf Hitler tries to create during World War II with the Third Reich. But this is where that term Third Reich originated from, because of the Second Reich under Bismarck and the First Reich with the Holy Roman Empire. However, Kaiser Wilhelm I, his grandson, William II, or Wilhelm II, when he becomes Kaiser, he tells von Bismarck he's not needed anymore. Wilhelm II says there is only one master in the Reich, and that is I. And instead of causing a civil war in Germany, von Bismarck will step aside, and Wilhelm II will rule Germany. But that's going to bring us into the actual origins of World War I, because Germany is right in the thick of it. So let's look at the roots of the Great War. And a lot of it is based on distrust among the various European nations, which leads to an alliance. These alliances lead to the war, and we'll explain that here in these next couple slides. This distrust between these European nations leads to alliances, two specific alliances, the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente. Those in the Triple Alliance will be there in the blue countries, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and then not the Turkish Empire originally, but Italy, right there in that. Italy is in the red there, but originally Italy was part of the Central, or the Triple Alliance. I'm sorry, the Triple Alliance. That was Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. Now, Italy does drop out of that near the beginning of the war and will side with the Allied powers. But originally, again, the Triple Alliance is Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. You need to know that for your study guide. The other alliance you need to know about is the Triple Entente. Entente is a French word for an alliance, so therefore it makes sense. France is in it, England, and Russia. Those are your three nations, Triple Entente, France, England, and Russia. Now you need to know that. Now, another problem in Europe were that rivalries were developing and nationalism was very strong. So let's look at that. We have economic rivalries and international rivalries. Nations in Europe are fighting for money, for trade, both within Europe and outside of Europe. So there's a lot of conflict there. There's this term militarism you're going to see on your study guide, the glorification of the military, the building up of your military. Every little country in Europe was trying to build as big a military as they could to compete with their neighbors or their rivals. And maybe the most important thing was nationalism. This is a strong sense of pride in your country, and you should have a strong sense of pride in your country. The problem over in Europe is that while Europe is about the same size as America is a collection of states that are united, since the United States. We're one large country. In Europe, all these different countries are the size of our states, but yet they're individual countries. Here in America, we basically share the same culture throughout the country. There'll be some variations depending on what region you live in, but in Europe, every country has maybe its own language, its own currency, its own form of government, maybe its own form of worship, of music, of food, of dress. So this leads to a lot of strong feelings for your specific country. And this will lead into some major issues. The biggest issue being what eventually becomes known as the powder keg of Europe. Now, the powder keg of Europe is going to be an area just north of Greece. This is known as the Balkan region, Balkan, the Balkan region. And this is where rivalries will be so intense that they say, well, this is the powder keg of Europe because one spark could start a war. Well, they were right. So we're going to stop here with this video. There will be one more video that follows. Let's look at the spark that starts the war in our next video. So join me with the next video in just a second.